Hi there, I'm Alex Hernandez. I am your professor when it comes to everything dealing with bankruptcy, credit scores, mortgages, car loans, you name it. It's all on my blog, Bankruptcy.blog. But now you're on my YouTube channel and you're here because you're probably looking up for information regarding credit reports. Now, this is important because this original blog post is tied into a study that they did where they found a lot of errors on not only on credit reports, but they were difficult to get to. Now, recently I had to deal with that issue about getting my credit score, and the questions are seriously absurd at times. We're in 2024. I had questions regarding my house in 2008, which I lost to foreclosure, and there have been times where they asked me questions that go back 10, 15 years, which is or which is not your phone number. I'm like, oh my God, my phone number? Are those business lines, cell phone lines? My business had several lines because you had the main line, the back line. So sometimes they include these back lines. And you're like, I didn't even know the back line when I was working there. I didn't know the number. I knew the main number. That was it. So that's part of the issue, trying to get your credit report. When that happens, you cannot access it online. It is a pain. You got to write to the credit bureaus, provide the information that they need, send them a letter, identification, etc., to try to get this information. So hopefully you get it right the first time around because you don't want to deal with it. Guess what? This is one of the few times I was able to get all three credit reports because I didn't get any of the information wrong. So go figure. Now, there are three main credit bureaus, right? Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Go to freeannualcreditreport.com. By law, you're entitled to a free credit report every 12 months. There's been a lot of changes with credit reports. Now they're not reporting medical bills, so that's a good one. You should do the same with student loans. And if you see that there's an error there, there's a very simple way to just go on there. Literally, once you log in, it shows you information. It says dispute. I had an issue that I had to dispute, and then it says, well, we don't really dispute that, which was, I think, a prior address or something else. I go, I don't care, whatever. But make sure that there's no issues there about who you owe money to, or that there are things there that don't belong. Because I'll tell you, I've been through that before where I had a bunch of foreclosures. I think it was five foreclosures listed down in the Florida Keys. I've never owned property in the Florida Keys. So I was out there buying a car and they said, hey, these five foreclosures. I'm like, that's not mine. I don't. What do you want me to do with that? Now, this is way before we easily had access to the internet, but there's still going to be errors on your credit report, so you have to check them. Here's the reason why. Imagine you go buy a new car and they tell you, sorry, you're not getting a new car. Look at your credit; it's a disaster. Someone stole your identity and you don't have those credit alerts where mine are at $5. If anybody spends $5 on my credit card, I'm going to know about it in 2 seconds. I'm going to get a text message. And I've been able to stop a lot of fraudulent charges like that. For example, a couple of years ago, I had fraudulent charges at a parking garage in Chicago. So I was able to resolve that issue. But it's important to look at your credit report because another example is once I had a credit card and there was fraud on it because I went to use it and they denied. I said, why would this deny? I'm just filling up gas. And then they showed me, or it was on the phone, all these fraudulent charges. I was on my way to Colorado on a cross country, road trip. And this was like, okay, luckily I have another credit card and it all got resolved, but I couldn't even get a credit card from because I had to go to wherever they were located, whatever branch office. I'm like, I'm not driving all the way over there. If you can send it to my rental, great. If not, I'm not dealing with that. So always make sure to look at your credit. Check this thing regularly just to make sure that there's no mistakes. Because here's the problem: interest rates are going up. I mean, I'm sorry, going down. And it already went down a couple of weeks ago. It'll probably go down in September now for car loans and mortgages, credit cards, things like that. That's great. But what if you're saying, okay, with the interest rates down, now's a good time to save some money and buy a new car or get a new home. You go apply and they tell you, look at what is this mess? Someone filed for bankruptcy. I never filed for bankruptcy. Well, that's what it says on your credit report. If you have a common name, this is going to be an issue. So check it regularly. If you're thinking right now about buying a car or home in the next month or so, go ahead and check your credit right now. It costs nothing to do so, and it's going to save you a lot of money because the credit The lender might say, you know what, we agreed that has nothing to do with you, but it's on your credit report. So instead of 6%, you pay 7. What are you going to do now? You're stuck. How long is it going to take? So be prepared. Go in there in advance. Get all that garbage off your credit report. So when you apply for credit, your credit history is nice and clean and there's no issues, and they're not going to increase the interest rates on you, or even, increase the deposits. They might say, well, instead of 2,000, you got to come up with 3,000. If you have the money, great. If you don't have it, now we have a problem, or if you need it for something else, buy furniture, whatever it is. So make sure, if there's anything you're going to learn from today, is make sure to review your credit report regularly. I do it about approximately once a year, because I also have all those alerts. So if anybody uses my card, I would know. If there's any credit applications, I would know. So, and by the way, now that there's a massive data breach that's been out there, I wrote about that, and it's also posted on my YouTube channel. So look into that. I'll post it on the bottom if I remember, because I always forget these things. Um, but there was a massive data breach, and it was everything from emails to phone numbers. We're like, oh, who cares? But social security numbers as well. And if somebody starts getting credit or other information, stealing your identity, man, your life's going to be complicated in a hurry. So check out your credit report. Look into that massive data breach. I'll post that video too, if I remember. And that way you can protect yourself. Okay. As always, if there's any paralegals using my textbook in one of your courses, feel free to also ask questions or comments. You're part of the YouTube family. Come here. Just because you're paralegal students doesn't mean you can't ask questions to the professor. And those of you that are not paralegal students, likewise, any questions or comments, definitely post them. And I'm going to say something I always forget. If you like what you see, subscribe, like, and all that stuff, and you'll see the thing pop up at the end. All right. Take care, everyone. Please be safe. More importantly, check your credit. Bye-bye.